We're going to Qatar! Welcome to AT&T 5G Virtual Studios. Andrew Wiebe, Charlie Davies. It is the morning after, everyone. I don't care how it got done. I don't care that you felt a little bummed out after that game in San Jose. I don't care. The U.S. is going to the World Cup in 2022. Canada is going. A ton of MLSers are going, and we're here to preview the draw going down on Friday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. The watch-along show right here at the MLS YouTube page starts. We got DeMarcus Beasley, Run DMB, the legend, joined by Susanna Collins, the legend herself, Matt Doyle, Kaylin Carr, just watching the draw with you, just experiencing it alongside. We'll have some special guests from around MLS who are going to play in this World Cup. We assume it's going to be a good time. Before then, Charlie, it's you and me to preview this thing. It's to dream. It's to run the simulators. It's to try to figure out what's the best possible group for the U.S. and Canada, what's the group of death, and which MLSers are involved. You just probably got off a plane, man, from New York City, right?
I did. I did.
How you feeling? How you doing?
You know, you wake up the next day and you're like, I have this excitement, this build up to the World Cup because we're going to be a part of it. I mean, 2018, that hurt. I mean, we were all down in the dumps for a while. So to know that 2022 is on the horizon, we have, a whole generation of kids who are going to get to experience now what a World Cup is like, watching with family, watching with friends, going places to watch it, watch parties. I'm hyped. I'm hyped. And this group is a young group that has a lot of potential. And obviously they've had some great performances and they've had some very poor performances. So, it's one of those things where you put it in the past. You all understand what international plays like, qualifying for a World Cup. It's only going to get harder, but you have, everything in front of you, which is great.
Time to go make dreams come true. For the supporters, for all of us that had our dreams shattered in 2018, but more importantly for these players, for these coaches that can make a change, that can change the way U.S. soccer is seen around the world. And they've said from day one, this is our mission, this is our goal, this is what we want to do. And they're doing it club level. We know that. We see where they're at. We see the transfer fees. We see the performances in the biggest competitions in the world. We see what players produced in Major League Soccer who've moved on and done. We see what players produced and playing in Major League Soccer have done in this qualifying campaign, and we'll get to that in just a second. But let's quickly talk about the pots and give people a little bit of context, because I think that's important before this draw. It's easy to just think, okay, well, you got balls bouncing around, they're going to pull 4 out, and that's it. You don't need to know the rules. You do need to know the rules. U.S. in pot 2 for the first time since 2010 in South Africa. That is important. That means that they are going to avoid basically a cavalcade of UEFA teams that round out pot 2 because you can't be drawn against one of those teams. Canada, unfortunately, by virtue of their loss in Panama, will not be in pot 3. Had they won in Panama, they would have been in pot 3. As it stands now, they're in pot 4 despite finishing at the top of the octagonal standings in CONCACAF. So you get a team from pot 1. The host, Qatar, is there. That's the team everybody wants, believe me. You have pot 2, you have pot 3 team, pot 4 team. That's the way the draw will go. You cannot be paired up in your group with other teams from your confederation. So if a UEFA team gets drawn in pot 1, a UEFA team can't.
Barring Europe.
Actually, UEFA is the only one because they got so many, man.
13 teams.
It's the squad coming through. Just the math doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So if you have, for instance, Brazil in pot 1, Uruguay can't be drawn with them from pot 2. So remember that as we go along. There can't be 2 AFC teams, can't be 2 CONMEBOL teams, can't be 2 African teams, etc. So before we hit in our ideal groups, let's just remind people that it's not just the U.S. and Canada, that it's a massive group of players from MLS that are going to be involved here. And I'm just going to run us through here. Mexico, Julian Araujo, maybe Efra, definitely Ache, Hector Herrera, which, Charlie, you conveniently reminded me, he's coming to Houston this summer. He's going to be playing in this World Cup under a Houston Dynamo banner. You have Shaqiri for the Swiss. You have Facundo Torres, Diego Rossi, Brian Rodriguez perhaps for Uruguay, Adam Buksa, Karol Swiderski for Poland. Canada's got their squad. U.S. has got their squad. Nuhu, Olivia Mbaizo for Cameroon, who qualified in the most absurdly dramatic fashion possible in Africa. In Ecuador, Arriaga, Alan Franco, Sebas Mendez, Michael Estrada, Sifu, Diego Palacios. Their squad bolstered by MLS. Peru, they got to make it. They're in the playoff, but Alex Collins, Pedro Gallese, they're starters. Edison Flores gets in. He's a starter oftentimes and a difference maker. And if Costa Rica can get a job done, you've got Matarrita and Calvo as well. MLS is going to be well represented. Charlie, what does that mean to you?
I think it shows how much the league has grown and how many important players are now playing in Major League Soccer. That this is a destination for players who want to still play at the highest level and compete in a World Cup. That was not the case 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You had to go elsewhere. It was more of a league where you came to play, but you need to go perform in Europe or at high level club to get a chance to play for your national team. That's not the case anymore. You can be competing in Major League Soccer and still be a starter for your national team when your club needs, when your country needs you at a World Cup. That's incredible. That means a whole lot. That just shows how important the league is, how it's grown, how they've made all the right decisions when it comes to investing in clubs and investing in players. It's incredible.
It's just the start. Imagine 2026, folks. Let's not
boy.
get too far ahead of ourselves. But the 2026 is going to be absolutely crazy in that regard. Let's get our ideal and group of death groups for the U.S. and Canada. And I'm going to start with you.
Mm-hmm.
Give me your ideal USMNT group. Come Friday, when the balls start falling and names start getting revealed and the U.S. and Greg Berhalter learn their fate, what is the ideal scenario for them?
Ideal. Pot one, they're mixing it up. Boom, ball comes out. I'm going with Qatar, the host nation. You never want to, and usually when you play in World Cups, you want to play against the host nation. Qatar has actually got some quality, but that's the country you want to pick out of pot one. U.S.
We've already got the dub on them too.
Exactly.
Back in the Gold Cup.
So U.S. is in pot two, so that takes away Denmark, the Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, Croatia, Uruguay, and Mexico. Pot three, boom, it comes out. You don't want Senegal, I can tell you that. You're going to go with, hopefully, Tunisia. That's the ball that comes out. You're saying, yes, thank you. I have Tunisia. No disrespect to the Tunisians out there. I used to play with one. And pot four, it comes out, boom. And you got Wales, Scotland, or Ukraine. Whoever comes out of that playoff. I think that would be the ideal scenario for the U.S. men's national team.
What's your expectation, regardless of draw? Because that's the ideal one. That's the small percentage chance. Regardless of draw, what's your expectation for this U.S. team at the 2022 World Cup? What do they have to do? Well,
one, they have to compete. They have to be in every game. I would like to see them advance out of the group. That's got to remain the goal. We can't drop our expectations for this U.S. men's national team for the quality of players that we have. We have to get out of the group. That's got to be the goal, and that's got to be the expectation.
I completely agree. Just because we missed the last World Cup doesn't mean we readjust expectations, lower expectations, just are happy to be there. This team, in pot two, given the talent they have, and like young legs are what you want at a World Cup, and 7 months is a long time for these young players to progress, to get even better, to get into better club situations, to be even more prepared, to get healthy, because we were missing some big-time names in these final three qualifiers. I think the bare minimum is get out of the group. Once you're out of the group, let's see what you can do, but let's at least give yourself a chance to make history, to capture the imagination of this entire country, and to do so, I think you got to be in the knockout stage. Now let's talk about group of death for the U.S. I'm going to throw one at you here.
Oof.
I had two. It depends on if you get UEFA or you get CONMEBOL out of pot one. Let's say you're getting UEFA and you get France, Mbappe, Benzema. I don't have to keep listing names. You know they're world class. So you got U.S., France, then you got Senegal, Sadio Mane, and so many other absolute studs, the defending champions in Africa. And then I'm going to say you either have Ecuador or Peru in your fourth. Depending on who comes out of the playoff, depending on who gets drawn, Ecuador or Peru. So you get a CONMEBOL team that either qualified directly or qualified fifth in one of the hardest regions of the world, arguably the best team in the world in France, and Senegal the best team in Africa. That's a difficult group for the U.S. Now, let's say you get CONMEBOL. How about Brazil, U.S., Serbia, or Peru or Ecuador? Those are going to be difficult situations for the U.S. I don't think we should be afraid or intimidated. I don't think they will be afraid or intimidated. It just makes the job a little bit harder, and if you do succeed, it makes the accomplishment all the more greater. That's the U.S. side. We got many, many months to build up to it. Canada's going to build up too, and they're doing it historically. It's been 35 years, Charlie. Watching that celebration in Toronto is one of the highlights of my soccer life. And I don't have any skin in the game for that, other than the fact that I love Canadian players, I support Canadian teams, and I cover MLS day to day. Here is my ideal group for Canada. If they got this, John Herdman would be ecstatic, and he would be more ecstatic there in pot three, but hey, that's water under the bridge. Portugal to start. They got some difference makers up top, but I think this Canada team on the break could absolutely get at that back line.
So you wouldn't have Qatar as your first?
Well, that's a good point. we aren't giving out all the gifts here. Odds say 1 out of 8 are getting Qatar. So odds say Qatar would be the dream. We already know that. But let's say it's Portugal. Then because it's Portugal, it could be another UEFA team. So it would be maybe Switzerland or Denmark you might want, or Uruguay. I'm going to say in this case they're going to get Uruguay. Then it's going to be Tunisia or Iran, and then it's going to be Canada. Now, their group of death, listen to this one. This is what happens when you're in pot 4. Brazil, the Netherlands or Germany, Senegal and Canada.
Oh.
Yikes.
Oh.
Yikes. Welcome to the World Cup. Welcome back, Canada.
And no one wants to catch Senegal. I can tell you that right now. That's that danger team in pot 3. Poland, they got Lewandowski, but I still think that's a team you can get at. South Korea, another team you can get at. Tunisia, Serbia will be difficult. Iran and Morocco are kind of around the same, for me, that kind of the same level. Japan is, I think, a one step below South Korea. But Senegal is that team you do not want. They can get at you. They have a great goalkeeper in Mendy, a superior goalkeeper compared to other countries in that pot. Whew,
You said Senegal nobody wants to play?
Mm-hmm.
Canada's the team nobody wants out of pot 4. Canada is going to make it a group of death, given where they're at. What should we expect from Canada? What do you hope for from Canada?
I would expect, when you're looking at their attacking 4, Alphonso Davies, Tajon Buchanan, Jonathan David, Kyle Larin, they're going to create chances galore. They can play any team in the world and defend, invite them into their own half, defend like their lives depend on it, and counter in a second. Because Tajon Buchanan and Alphonso Davies can counter on any team in the world. They have that electrifying pace. They have that chip on their shoulder. They have that skill that you cannot teach. You have those two players, plus they're goal scorers too in their own right. They can both score goals, create goals. And Kyle Larin and Jonathan David can both hold the ball up. They can get in behind, and they're finishers. Those are 4 players who you can expect goals from at any moment within a game. They are. That's a team you do not want to run into because, one, they understand how to defend as a team. They were the most organized team in CONCACAF. They were the best team in CONCACAF, hands down. This is a club or a country that has, I think, garnered all the attention, has changed the game of soccer in Canada. Now everybody's rocking jerseys. Everybody's going to the stadiums, filling it up. They are that kind of once-in-a-lifetime generation that you get. They have it now. This is the golden generation of Canada, and they're expecting to turn heads with this performance because they know in 2026 they also, like the U.S., stand a good chance at going far.
It's a historic quest for Canada. It's a historic quest for the U.S. as well. It's a historic quest for all 32 teams that go to Qatar. November and December, it'll come quicker than you think, but the draw is right on top of us. Friday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we will start our live stream, talk through all these scenarios, maybe spin the wheel a couple times and see what it spits out. I'm sure you've been on those simulation machines. I've been on those for the last 12 hours straight. Susanna Collins, Matt Doyle, Kalen Carr, DeMarcus Beasley. Watch the World Cup draw live with them. Again, 11:30 a.m. Eastern on Friday. With that, we'll see you on Monday for Extra Time. Adios, folks.